Hey everybody, and welcome to another live stream. Just doing some rendering for I'm just going to do some renders for the characters being in this location. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's a bit tricky, this one, I'm going to be honest, because if I go into my camera view, go into NVIDIA. So there's a lot of shadows that I'm going to have to contend with in here, annoyingly, but there you go. Welcome to everybody who's joining me this afternoon, this evening. It is afternoon, still in the UK. Hope you're all doing well. Or as it's become customary to say on my channel these days, hello mate. So yeah, I'm just going to try and do some renders in this scene. Icons for characters might have to do something a bit different because the strength of the shadows is going to be bizarre. So we'll go back to texture shaded mode. Got to load a character into the scene now. Let's do that. Just check that I'm actually showing you what I'm doing. Yep, that's good. Live stream's working. Everybody's happy. Oh, crap, content library's disappeared. There it is. Do my characters and into this one. Oh dear, slow loading time. I have now been through my content library and removed a lot of the duplicate formulas or missing references. So it's a bit quicker loading, but it's still painful. Anyone who's got a content library that's even vaguely large is going to experience more or less the same misery on a fairly regular basis. It says not responding. It is responding, it's just responding really frickin' slowly. I feel like I need to put on some background music. Let's find some NCS or something. Something to do. Let's do that. Just want a nice long playlist. That's all I want. That's all I want. Oh, this will do. Is that non-copyright sound? Who knows? Oh, she'll do. Down to nice and low. Cool. Don't know if you guys can hear it. You should be able to hear it. Just let me know if it's too loud. Noise. Low. Maybe turn that down a smidge. So that it's just background music. There we go. Well, nobody's talking, so I'm going to assume that it's fine. It's loading. It is loading, see? It's just being very slow. Oh my god. Hurrah! It has loaded. No, it's still loading. Just Oh my god. Hey, there we go. She's in. Boom. All right. Right. Let's get out of camera. I need to seriously stop defaulting to that camera so that I don't accidentally move it and screw myself. Go with the move tool. In your own time. There we go. Cool beans. Going very, very slow. Am I trying to do too many things at once? No, not really. Just being a bit slow. Hey man, how you doing? Good to see you. Right, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm going to put this character into a pose. Pose. Thanks, man. Always a pleasure. I think she's going to be doing... Maybe she's talking on her phone or something. Let's just see. Yeah, it should be something a bit more frequent now. I'm looking to start doing them fairly frequently in the evenings and stuff, because I appreciate being able to talk with you guys in real time rather than in comments and stuff. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to sort of do this in you know, every other evening or something once I'm settled into the new place and made sure that everything's all good. But the I mean, I've almost finished recording the Let's Code season, so there's every other day for the next couple of weeks is going to be a Let's Code video, so I'm going to try and get some Let's Render videos in the mix there as well, or I might just fill the gaps with live streams. See how it goes. She's we'll just have her standing. It's all good. It's all good. Now goes the epic search for finding a scene that's not sexual. Yeah, it should be good. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Yeah, that's cool. I think maybe I'll have her looking out the window. And we'll just rotate her a little bit. She's actually looking out the window. I'm in the mood for doing some kind of artsy depth of field style portrait. Come on. Okay. Pop ourselves. Maybe yeah, let's just shoot along the window frame. Kind of like that. I'm thinking leading lines and all that. Yeah, we'll use leading lines, that's cool. Right, we can pop a camera where we are. And then we can move her a little bit closer to the window. Doesn't matter that her feet are clipping because they are not going to be in the shot. Just want her head to be nice and close to... Oh, did we just clip into... Oh, that's the wrong one. Camera 2. That's fine. Okay, so now we're in the camera. What am I doing? Misclicks are plenty today. I'm gonna go with the focal length and tilt the camera up a smidge. Need a little bit more. So we need to bring that hand up a tiny little bit. Do that with the move tool, see if we can achieve what we need with... Oh god. Might need to change to using global coordinates, because this ain't gonna be easy. Come on, move, please. Yeah, her head's gonna go with her fist. It's just gonna... Oh, now she's punching herself in the face. Yeah, that's what we want. That's better. Stop there. Oh, you dick. Gone too bloody far now. Come back to about here. Give Dash Studio a chance to catch up. That's better. Let's run this simulation so that our hair does what it's meant to do. Memorize pose. Don't need a great deal of initialization time. 1.1 on the gravity. I'll leave air resistance as is for now. We'll just see what happens. Could all go hideously peaked on? We will find out. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday. If you're a Westerner, first part of your weekend. If you're in the Middle East, first day of the working week. It's not night in the UK either. It's just because I've got there's brilliant sunshine outside the window, so I've had to pull the blinds across. Otherwise, you'd end up with like glare on one half of me. So I've got the blinds shut with the ring light on myself. I'm in down near Portsmouth now. All right, now let's make some adjustments to our camera. My PC is an Intel i9 9700 with an RTX 3080 and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Come on, it's got, yeah, as you can see, even with a computer like that, it's still a bit laggy. Bring that back. Oh my god, come on. No worries, bro. I will see you soon. Give her a little bit more depth of field. Yeah, I'll bet, man. I'll bet. I bet you're pumped. It's going to be a rendering machine. It depends on the... Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I don't think I've got a great deal going on in memory at the moment. But yeah, it does seem to be unusually laggy today. Maybe it's because I've got my food diary open on Excel. If I close that... Excel doesn't use a great deal of memory. Maybe it's because I've got RenPy up as well. I don't know. We'll find out. Hey, Sensi. How you doing, bro? Have a look in iRay and see what the crack is. 1080 is... It's funny to think that it's not that long ago. It's only 12 months ago that that was still considered the kind of standard. I know the 2080 was around, but... Yeah, it's probably... I've probably got smoothing. Wow, that is bright. Might need to make some adjustments there. Go into my tone mapping and let's drop the shut speed up, drop it. Let's increase it to about 1000 and see what that does. There we go. That's still a little bit bright, to be honest. Let's go with 2000 and see what happens. I don't remember giving her a double chin, but she's apparently got one. Oh well, she is a mum, I suppose. Why does it look like she's bald? Too much light. I think we're going to need to make some adjustments. Yeah, the reflection kind of works. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about the fact that her hair suddenly looks really thin. It might just be because it's in the preview mode. I am adjusting the shutter speed. I am increasing it. So it starts off at 128 frames per second, which is standard for DAZ Studio, and I've gone up to about 2000. I'm going to see if going up even further will fix the hair issue. Let's try 5000. No, she definitely looks bald in this one. I'm not loving that. Maybe if I make the f-stop a little bit shallower. Let's try f. Ooh. Let's try. That's really not helped, to be honest. It's given me a nice bit of depth of field here, but it's not fixed that hair issue. Yeah, it's a very bizarre set of... Maybe if I put some kind of shadow across the top of her head. That's what I'm thinking. So if I go to texture shaded mode and I come out of my camera, I create a plane. The things we have to do to make DAZ Studio do what we want it to do. Mind you, I shouldn't complain. That's the whole reason my channel exists. Alright, there we go. Things are not quite as... shit. Control Z. Excuse my French. Just accidentally moved the freaking main room camera. Right, so if I rotate that along the Z axis and I stick it up here, then go back into this camera, back into NVIDIA iRay mode. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. You are not wrong. That's really where the art form is, isn't it? It's in the post work and the working around the limitations. Okay. Maybe I've got that too far away. Go back to perspective view. Let's go. Oh, that is definitely... right. I know why. Because it's going... No, it isn't. It really isn't going around. Why is that not casting a shadow all of a sudden? God damn it. Maybe if I put it right in front of her head just to see if it's actually doing what it's meant to be doing. I know it's almost invisible there. I could use that. Make the most of it being only a two-dimensional object. Hey, now it's working. Not quite what I want it to do, but it's, you know, it's casting a shadow now at least. So if I go back to texture shaded mode and come out of that camera again. Right. Not a clue what was going on there. But we need to come back behind the glass, or at least into the glass. I think I'll do behind. Then I'll raise it up. I think the light's coming in at an angle, which is why it didn't create a shadow. So if I bring this way a little bit more, I think it's going to have to come up a smidge as well, probably somewhere around about there. Let's have a looky. It's going to be gone now completely again, isn't it? Oh, it's almost where it needs to be. Almost. I hate what it's doing, but I think I need to just come up by another 10 centimeters. So let's go to 230. Nope, too far. There we go, that's what I was after. feel like there's too much bump map happening on her skin, so what I might do is select her, go into my content library and see if there's a lower bump map. Yeah, I could do that. That's not a bad idea. It ain't a bad idea. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem, isn't it, Shiriko? It really is a problem. Okay, so where's the low bump? Bump higher, bump lower. Don't know if that's going to work or if it's going to look worse. The neck does look a bit smoother now. Yeah, that looks better. It looks softer. What happens if I turn off the normal map? Turn. See. Find out. One way to find out. I think that. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I can live with that. All right. So we've got an okay shot going so far. I think I'm going to put some kind of foliage in front though, so it looks like. So we've got a middle ground, which is the character. We've got the background, and we've got sort of a foreground, but the foreground is only created by the leading lines from this. So I'm thinking some kind of plant. Let's see. I don't want it to be a full-blown tree. I just want it to be like a plant with some kind of flower pot will do. She'll do. Yeah, it's fine. That'll work. And pop that there. Creep it up so it's about there. That's probably a bit too much if I'm being honest. No, it's not enough. So we need to move on the Z-axis. No, that's the wrong way. X-axis then. Just want a little bit of greenery, a little bit of colour in front. Yeah, if this were a dress up, bear in mind this is for the game. She's got kind of a consistent look. She wears lip gloss, but not really lip colour. There are a few scenes where she's like going out, where the colour of her lips would be different. Right, let's put this. I'm digging that suggestion from Sensi about giving it an emissive colour, and I might make it slightly blue just for shits and giggles. Go to NVIDIA Iron, then I can adjust the luminance once we're in. Shouldn't do too much because we're already on a 2000 of a second shutter speed. So I'm going to have to bump this up to probably in the region of. Well, that certainly had the plant has certainly had an impact. Let's move that down a smidge to minus, just so it's a little bit less in shot. Hey Node Rage, how you doing, bud? So that plane is currently creating notes. I've got a flower in front of the camera or something. Let's try going up instead then. Let's go for like 5 and see what happens there. Now we've got green. I think I'm just a bit too close to the camera, so if we move it backwards in the Z plane, let's go with like minus 200. And then we can go back to minus 2. Still a little bit too close to the camera. Let's go minus 250. There we go. That's more what I'm after. Now I can make that unclickerable. Yeah, I'm good, man. Good. Had a pretty productive Saturday. Went to the gym, had my body scanned, found out I'm a fat bastard and need to go to the gym more. I'd call that a win, sort of. Yeah, I'm working on... this is a game I'm not releasing until it's mostly complete. I learned my lesson about releasing uncompleted games. To be fair, I expect the same amount of bitching and moaning when I release a completed game, but I haven't got to worry about it. No, I'm glad they've been helpful, man. Glad they've been helpful. Right, what else do I want to do here? Oh, I was going to check the luminosity of that plane, wasn't I? I aim to please. Alright, this should make a slight difference. I don't think that's going to be visible at all until I get into the sort of 5,000 region. Yeah, there you go. Now you can see the shadows are lifting. I've got to find a happy medium. Let's try 3,000, just because I don't want the shadows to be lifted so much that you can see the bald spot again. Just keep adjusting until we get where we want. I think that's a fairly healthy number. Gives us an HDR look. So we've got a nice bit of colour in there from the plant hovering in front. I'll tell you what I might do. Give us some interesting highlights on the specularity is if I go to my camera and I go to the number of blades, I'm going to set the number of aperture blades to 8. Yeah, man, make sure you do. The new Let's Code season is going to be good. Well, I mean, we're sort of already started, but it's going to be fun. Right, let's give ourselves a headlamp always off. Never have it on. Right, the lens thickness that we want. Let's put the lens thickness to like 60 mil and see what happens. If the music's too loud, by the way, let me know, because I have no idea how loud it is for you guys. I know how loud it is for me. It's not that loud, it's just background music in my head, but if it's too loud for you guys, let me know and I will sort it. Sort it out. I'll probably fix that a little bit in post. I don't really want to have to. Maybe if I drop the luminosity of the plane just a smidge more, could very well be going backwards. Just don't want too much in there. You can't hear any music. Oh, right, okay. Must be too quiet then. How about that? Can you hear that? It was on like minus 29 dB. I really didn't want it getting too loud, but... I mean, it's not coming out of my speakers very loud at all. If I just go back to... Okay. That's interesting. Let's have a look at my settings. Find out what the frick is going on. Hmm. Yeah, that's very strange. It's turned on the... Oh well. It's actually Matt, but you're all so close I can't be bothered to correct you, to be honest. No, this is an HDRI. This is my usual one that I use, like something garden. Symmetrical garden. Let's see what happens if I add an audio input, audio output capture, add source. That should do it. Should be getting sound now. There we go. Now we got sound. Huzzah! Bit quieter. Better? So I've got this shot kind of ticked so I can get... Right, that camera is good. That's got a good shot. Let's go with texture shaded mode. Come out of this camera. See if I can get through the window shot that's not going to look completely absurd. Might be tricky with that plane there, but I will see what I can do. If I come way back, camera just like here, pop into this bad boy, and camera, go focal length. What's gonna happen if I do that? Right, I need to go upwards somewhat and then tilt downwards. Oh my god. Very hard to control a camera that's zoomed in this much. Do you know what? That'll do. I'm more curious just to see what this is going to look like than anything else. Let's go into NVIDIA IRO mode and see how... Nope, that's the wrong goddamn thing. Cartoon shaded. That's not at all weird. Could just be a reflection of the HDRI because it's looking through glass and it's very bright light. We will find out. Oh no, that's actually not terrible if I'm being honest. Looks like she's punched herself in the face. You expect like her lips to start going blah, 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 and blood and saliva to go flying off to the side. Like an impact shot. I was going to make a Tommy Lee joke then, but I thought better of it. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back into smooth shaded out of that camera. God damn, that's a long way away. How to deform the breasts. Yeah, I'm sure I've done a video on using deformers and stuff. There's a lot of post controls already in that studio that enable you to be able to do some of that stuff. Moving the boobs is actually really not that bad, like in terms of being able to do it, because they've got bones in them. Not real boobs obviously, but these boobs have got bones in them, so you can move them around. Always do post work, always. It's my thing. I get moaned at by people all the time, people leaving my channel because they're offended by the suggestion that they should be doing post. I'm firmly of the opinion that if you're not doing post, you're missing half the process. It's such a simple and easy thing to do realistically that there's no good reason not to do it. Photoshop's a tenner a month. Let's give a bit of depth of field. I have a sneaky suspicion we're going to have to change the focal distance somewhat here, probably in the thousands. There it is. Yeah, I've had many debates on this channel about post work, and I do some. It depends on the render. Like, as you can see here, I'm paying a lot of attention to detail. I'm really trying to get things nailed in the render itself. I've got one video, well, I've got a few videos on post work. I did one fairly recently, which is just me sort of talking through some of the stuff that I normally do. I'm going to do a lot more. Plan is to do a whole season of them. Cool, so right, let's see. I may have gone too mad with the depth of field here. It may look completely crap. Guess we'll find out. Looks alright. Actually looks, the hair, the rest of the shot doesn't look better, but the hair actually looks, it's Photoshop's just like anything else. You just need to practice using it. Once you know what the tools do and you get into the habit of using them, it's actually really intuitive. Let me just sit up straight. There we go. Slouching in my chair. Good lord. You're slouching in your chair, or you're terrible with Photoshop? Right, I'm going to render out that first one. Control L. There we go. Turn off the lights. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do one more thing. Yeah. Spot healing brush and the and just the standard healing brush are the saviors of all things Dash Studio. Fix so many things with that damn tool. Yeah, you can do all that advanced stuff. There's no harm in learning how to do them. But even something really basic, like I had someone querying about putting bars on their picture the other day for because they rendered their images in a weird resolution and they wanted to put bars either side of their image. Stuff like that, really basic stuff, makes all the difference. You can go into all the advanced stuff by all means. Certainly no harm in that. Let's look at this, see how this looks now. But you know, even the basic stuff, resizing your images, just getting rid of bad blemishes on the skin or the saran wrap effect under the boobs and all that sort of thing. They're just, you know, it's just using a spot healing brush and using the clone stamp tool and things like that make all the difference. Right, that clearly isn't bright enough. Go to our emissions. Let's try going with like 5,000. Not actually doing anything. Turn off two-sided light as well. And let's turn it back on again. Right, let's try 20,000. Well, that's now working. Off two-sided light. Right, I've got it the wrong freaking way. Right, parameters, it is rotated the wrong way. Now it's pointed the correct way, giving us a little bit of highlight along the back of her neck. Every little helps, my friend. It's all good. I think maybe I need to change that in the X dimension. I need to, let's go with 75% in the scale. See if that works. Just trying to thin this shadow out a little bit. It's rotated on the X scale. So it should be the right way. Find out. See the shadow disappear in a minute. Alright, let's try going back to 100% here and drop the Z scale down to 50%. See if that has the effect. No, not at all. It's fine. It's fine. Hey Cameo, how you doing, man? How's that affecting camera 3's shot? It's not affecting it at all. That's perfecto. In fact, that's actually giving us the highlight we want down the side of that one as well. Right, I'm going to add some foliage or something to this shot, but I'm going to move it closer to the camera. Not close to the camera, close to the character. Some bamboo. She'll do. Well, that might be a bit too far out of shot. Camera 3. Yep, too far out of shot. Needs to move along the X-axis a smidge. Probably going to do it in chapters. Oh my god, that'll be what's going wrong there. That's the freaking. Probably going to do it in chapters just because I haven't got a lot of time, and when I did my other games, I did them in. I used the Patreon business model like everybody else did, and it was emotionally draining. Because people can be real douchebags at times. And having to constantly just read so much negativity about, oh, we don't like this part of the game. It's like, if you don't like transgender people, like there was in my first game, it's like, it's not for you then, is it? But people seem to feel, particularly on the pirate forums and stuff, people seem to be of the opinion that everything has to be for them, which I find really frustrating. Kind of like that effect. That's kind of cool. It's not really the place to ask, to be honest, Shiriko. I don't promote creators and things like that. Probably not going to find much help on that one. Best thing to do is to go on, I don't know, one of the forums or something, or just browse the store. Well, exactly. That's exactly it. You know, I'm not bothered about the people. People think that I like. People think that. Because I don't respond to negative comments on my channel, that I'm in some way don't respect their opinion. Everyone's entitled to opinion. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And like you said, if people are only going to come to my channel and complain, then I'm not going to engage them in conversation. I don't have a monetization scheme at the moment. I don't make money from any of the stuff I do. It's not entirely accurate. I make a tiny bit of money from the YouTube channel, from ad revenue, and there are some people that are kind enough to donate But as far as monetizing my games, I don't currently have a plan for what I'm going to do, if I'm going to even try to make money from it. One of those things, man. The thing is with that game in particular, the game that shall remain nameless, is that I put a transgender character in there, but she wasn't the only character. You know, there was an option in the game to completely avoid any contact with that person if you chose to, but people were still bitching and moaning about it. I was like, do you know what, I can't be bothered with you people. So right, instancing optimization, I've got black rings in the eyes, so change that to speed. Give it a moment, they should disappear. My Patreon was shut down because someone reported me for extreme content. So now I don't do any game development via Patreon. Patreon is just for the YouTube channel. Oh yeah, the people who get it for free are always the ones to complain the most. Always. I feel like our eyes are too white. I might have to add some kind of discoloration in the corners in post. Some kind of reflection, some kind of glare or reflection. I'm just wondering if I can do it in shot or if I'm going to have to do it in post. Subscribestar was okay, but the problem is too many people are afraid of using it because of who runs it and the business model in general. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but when you request money from it, because I did have a Subscribestar for a little while, when you request money from Subscribestar, it's like the person who runs it has to run to the bank or something, because it takes a period of time, which is peculiar. Patreon make a lot of money from adult games still. There is one game in particular that is a game based on inter-family relationships, shall we say, but they now hide that behind a third-party patch. But they were making, last time I checked, I haven't checked for such a long time because I don't really do that anymore. I'm still working on my own adult VN, don't get me wrong, but I don't have time to worry about other people's stuff anymore. But they were making in the region of about $25,000 a month. So funnily enough, they didn't get hit with a ban hammer, they were given time to correct their mistakes. It's amazing though, the irony is that a lot of these games are about a subject that rhymes with grapes. And that's perfectly fine, which I find bizarre. I'm not going to go all SJW or anything like that, but basically if it's not consensual, i.e. if the person who you're doing it to is asleep or drugged or hypnotized, that is technically rape. So I'm baffled by the devs who can get away with putting that kind of content in their games, and they get away with it, and yet someone like me who was simply exploring transgender relationships and the Oedipus complex gets hit with a ban hammer. I'm not here to moan about that anyway. I say I've moved on from that. Still developing that game, and one day it will be finished, but for now it's like, right, I've completely lost the plot. Oh, I was going to put something glass in front of here to try and get some kind of glare, wasn't I? Another plane, please, Carol. Yeah, money, you're not wrong there, Brod. You're not wrong there. Right, I'm going to turn off that bamboo's clickability and all of the planes so I don't accidentally move stuff. See, the thing is, it's not just fictional characters. I mean, yeah, okay, the characters... Let me rephrase that. The characters are indeed fictional, but it's not it's not the characters or the fact that it's happening to a real person that's the issue, is it? It's all about the fact that you're telling a story about something, and let's be honest, pornographers tend to do a pretty poor job of exploring controversial subjects. I mean, you can't go onto any of the adult websites at the moment and not see them absolutely crammed with incest porn and just, well, pretty unsavory stuff. Okay, let's see. I need a glass shader now. Surface selected. Let's try that again. Now we've got it. Right, let's go back to camera 3. This is either going to look amazing or utter crap, or make no difference whatsoever. I'm prepared for all three. Did nothing. Alright, I need to rotate that then. No easy way to do that. Yeah, absolutely. No, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, I would rather that these things happen to fictional characters and happen to real life people, but I think we're at a stage of human evolution now where storytelling is a very powerful medium, whether that be in computer games or movies or books. And the difference between the porn world and the Hollywood side of things is that Hollywood tends to tell a story for a point, whereas porn maybe tends to come across sometimes as though it's glamorizing or in some way promoting certain actions. Non-consensual sex being one of them, which is quite heavily relied on. Because bear in mind that, don't forget, by definition, even blackmail scenarios, you know, where like a boy is coercing a girl into doing something for him or vice versa, is still technically non-consensual. So by definition, that is also the grape word. Fetishizing, yeah. You got to be really careful what you put in your content these days, because we live in strange times where what it is less important than how it looks. Yeah. Like, what can you say about that? You know, that is mental. Oh dear. People, you know, at the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do. People are going to make content about what they want to make content about. It's up to them. Just, you know, I will never insult anybody or claim they're weird or anything like that, but it's... The point is, if you want to make money out of stuff, if you want to be a commercial success, then you need something that's commercially viable. And taboo subjects are never going to be that. And sooner or later, people are going to get bored of pumping money into these games that have been in development for 5 years, earning stupid money every month. Sooner or later, the player base is going to go, why is this game still in development? And the developers of those games are going to really struggle, because they're going to find it really hard to follow up on a game that's, you know, a success. I use that term loosely. Shudder to think. I'm so glad I haven't been on any of those sites recently. Any of the sites that kind of host a lot of these things, because it sounds like things have gone downhill. which is really frustrating because I'm trying to, like literally my raison d'etre is to try and improve the standard of the content. I know there are, yeah, we're not going to name names and anything like that, but yeah, there are a few developers who just disappear, and people just, I don't know, it's like, I don't know if the word is simp, I know that word's not allowed, but yeah, it's bizarre. But yeah, people do, at the end of the day, I said this in the last live stream, I said if you're one of those people who is making money in that way, I can't honestly say that I wouldn't do the same. I'd like to think I've got more integrity than that, you know, like I shut down my subscribe star page when I wasn't able to keep up with the demand for content. And I make it very clear on my Patreon page that the Patreon page is there for donations only. There's you don't get anything for being a patron other than your name put in the credits on my videos, because I don't want people to feel like they're being sold something, because they're not. But, you know, at the end of the day, if these people are making, I mean, $25,000 a month, you better buy a house in a year in the UK. I know that particular game developer was splitting the money between about 8 different people, so it's not quite that much, but even so, it's enough to live on. Right, what have we got? Right, so I've got 2 shots of the same thing. Let's do one glamorizing the butt. Just cause. I'm gonna have to think about this shot a little bit more. That'll do, that angle works. Probably have to come a bit more across. About there, creates a nice frame. Let's avoid naming games in the channel, bro. This is YouTube. No problem. Better safe than sorry, you know. Yeah, they absolutely do. There's two sides to that argument, though, isn't there? There's the people like myself. I made a lot of mistakes, and I was way in over my head when I first started out because I set my expectations too high, and I didn't know what I was letting myself in for. I've got game development in my history, in my past, but I've never done it independently. So there is that, but I take full responsibility for that in that I didn't take the time to do the research. So I didn't know what I was letting myself in for, but it was entirely my fault when things went Pete-tong, you know. If he's able to make money from it and people are crazy enough to spend it, it's hard to fault him, really. Again, I don't necessarily agree with that kind of thing, with people who are blatantly just milking the system, but there's so many of them out there these days, it's kind of hard to argue with them, you know. Right, this is going to be in silhouette, I think, so I might be unnecessarily adding depth of field here. Go into iRay mode and see what happens. Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, I'm doing alright, you know, the YouTube channel's growing. People are starting to, you know, visit the channel. It's actually a pretty good shot, to be fair. Let's rotate a smidge more. Yeah, you know, people are responding to the channel really well, so you know, I'm hard pushed to complain about things, how the way things are going for myself. I want to change the composition, but I don't want to change the angle. Ooh, got a new subscriber. Nerd Rage. Thanks, bro. Yeah, you know, and in terms of like the, you know, the Patreon and stuff, it's nice to have people who are, you know, donating things like that, and there's the Dads are slowly starting to improve. They are now making their own tutorials. I feel like it's hard not to take it personally because they've chosen a British guy to do the voiceovers, and I feel like they only had to ask. But there you go. It is what it is. But yeah, it's still woefully lacking. They seem to be more focused on adding new things that no one's ever going to use. Maybe that's just me being cynical though. But you know, I want to help people get better at. I mean, like, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I still get asked questions all the time. I have no idea what the answers are. But people have this. There's two types of mentality. I'm going to give you a lecture now. So there's scarce mentality and there's abundance mentality. Thanks, Esther. Like YouTube, the economy of YouTube is, thanks Cameo. there's so some people look at YouTube like it's a competition. So people will go and say, you've got to watch PewDiePie, you've got to watch PewDiePie, you should stop watching somebody else, as though they're mutually exclusive. I watch PewDiePie, but I also watch You Always Win. I also watch Ting Ting ASMR. It's not a case of if you're watching me, you're not watching somebody else. You can watch both. And it's the same with adult VNs and stuff. We're not competition, we're colleagues. Especially if we're putting our content out there for free. Because someone who plays one game isn't going to prevent them from playing my game as well. My Steam library, over the years, I've clocked up a Steam library of about 250 games. I don't play them all at once, but I do play them all. And I think that's a difference, isn't it? Some people see it as competition. Oh, there's only so many people that can, you know, that they see it as a competition. They see it as a scarcity rather than seeing it as an abundance. There's an abundance of people out there watching YouTube. I don't know why I can't even remember why I went off on that little tangent there, but thanks very much for listening. Oh, mate. Dash Studio is still a really intimidating interface when you load it up. Not quite as intimidating as the likes of Blender or Maya, but if you don't know what any of these buttons do, they mean nothing to you. Okay, the tooltip helps, like create a new null or create a new primitive or whatever, but there's nothing in this interface which tells you what to do. And you go to help and you just end up in a miasma of really confusing, out-of-date documents. Thumbs downing in authoritative news sources. Fair play. Yeah. Of course, the Chinese and the Japanese, not wanting to be pigeonholing or anything like that, but the quality of the animations from the VNs that I'm seeing from that part of the world are really insane. Like, I would love to be able to do that. I'm just not an animator, and that's why I'm quite happy to keep using DAZ, because it's not animation software. I've done a couple of animations, as people have probably seen. In fact, if I go, I'm gonna see if I can pull up a video that I've done. Oh, that's not it. Movies. Oh, I'll tell you what, I've put some in my game folder actually, so if I go into game, images, movies, no, that's the intro. Oh no, it's in my scenes, chapter 1. Is this one? Just something like really basic, this one. Takes, you know, it's like 15-second animation. It's just like a tour of the house kind of thing. If you've got a good storyline, you can get away with meh renders. Two of the most popular VNs that I can think of, not just adult ones, but VNs in general, have got really mediocre artwork, but the storyline's very solid. It's kind of like YouTube in that, you know, I focus on sound quality. There's only so much you can do with a screen. If it's 1920 by 1080p, what's on it is, you know, is what's on it. But yeah, exactly. Although the animation in some VNs is absolutely shocking. Oh my god. The joke being, for those of you who aren't aware, Sensei is aware of this because he's been around for a long time, and apologise if any of you others have been around for since the start as well, but the joke was the two toasters clunking together with boobs hanging off the bottom of them. Because some of these animations look like that's why the end credits to my videos used to be a toaster spinning around with sexy music. I think everyone's got one good book in them, one good story. Mine is definitely the first game I started writing. The storyline was going to be immense, and it is going to be. It's like, you know, but sometimes the timing's just wrong. I think everybody thought with Game of Thrones featuring subject matter of that type being so prevalent in it, I mean the two of the main characters being brother and sister and having a relationship, I think everybody thought the floodgates were going to open and that it was suddenly going to be socially acceptable to make content about it, and well, we learned different, didn't we? Yeah, I think you're right. Erotica is one of those things. It's just you do it for the love, don't you? Well, yeah, sadly you're right, Cameo. One of the more popular VNs from a couple of years ago, who took it a bit personally when I took made a couple of jokes at his expense. Had really nice looking characters, but the storyline was garbage. To be fair, it looked like it was going to be really good when it was first started development, it looked like it was going to be like a Back to the Future style thing, and then it all just went, it was like suddenly they got fed up and just went, there's all the content, bye. Yeah, Daz Studio just isn't animation software. It is rendering software. It's a rendering engine that has animation functionality shoehorned in, but it's never going to be able to compete with the likes of Maya and Blender, because they are much better, much more well thought out. The problem I find with erotica is kind of like amateur poetry, in the sense that nowadays writers are a dime a dozen, and that's not meant as a jab at you or anything like that. It's just that there are so many people doing it in forums and stuff like that that it's very hard to stand out. Hey, no worries, Martial Art. Always a pleasure. I'm glad people are finding use out of my videos, getting something out of them. It makes a big, you know, it's the reason I do it. I certainly don't do it for the money, I tell you that much, but good to know that other people are benefiting. I'm just wondering if there's any more angles I can work from this shot that are going to... shots from this angle. I'm just wondering if I can squeeze another one out. I suppose I could do a wide shot. Wide-ish, I should say. Let's go for a 3/4, I reckon. 3/4 length will work. Come back a smidge, creep up a touch. Plane's going to be a problem. I have to really spin our camera angle up a little bit. Get away with that. It might work, it might look crap. I'm glad to hear it, Nego. Ren'Py is super easy, barely an inconvenience. That's a reference some of you might not get. It's dead easy. If you can speak English, you can speak Python. It's really that simple. It looks like it's dark outside all of a sudden in this shot. That's very peculiar. Considering, I suppose it's the dark part of the HDRI. If you were to work your way through my Ren'Py playlist, Ren'Py Beginner to Advanced, I think it's called. The music's a bit too loud, right-o. I can fix that. If you work your way through that playlist and then tackle one of the Let's Code seasons, I would recommend tackling the most recent one, Season 3, which we're still working through. You'd be able to code yourself a decent VN in almost no time at all. I'm basically giving away a Ren'Py game engine in this season because we're building it step by step together, and then I'm teaching people, or I'm doing the videos on how to actually use the engine to create a game, and then you can kind of, once you figure out the nuts and bolts, it's actually really easy. Do I want depth of field in this shot? I kind of do, but not as much. If we go back to perspective view, I'll jump out of IRA mode just to make life a little bit less stressful. Switch on depth of field. Go right up to her there, and then go know, there maybe. Big is that? Let's come back a little bit on that. Oh, very kind of you. Thank you very much. I did think about doing like a Skillshare or a Udemy or something like that, but I don't know. I probably should, but I just figured, you know what? I just want people to be better at developing games because I want to be able to play these games. You know? I'd like to think that one day I might be able to sustain myself on the money I make from YouTube, but let's be honest, my market is very, very niche at the moment. If you don't do Ren'Py or Daz Studio or both, chances are you're probably not going to watch my content. And there's always, you know, lots of other people out there. I mean, there's, you know, I was thinking about just introducing maybe one gaming video a week, but I realised how much of a detrimental effect that had on people. Just sort of started switching off in their droves when I started putting daily content, daily gaming content on my channel. Okay. Just trying to decide. I'm kind of digging the fact that she's kind of almost looking at the camera in the reflection in this shot. That kind of works for me. I'm digging it. Sound quality is probably quite a bit better in this one than it was in my last live stream because I've put up audio panels or acoustic panels, sorry, which I didn't have up during the last one. In the last one there was probably a bad echo. It's still a little bit of an echo on this now, but it's not as bad as it was. Something in the middle ground of this shot as well. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's go to texture shader mode and not wire bounding box. That's a little bit better. Alrighty, what can I put in front of this? I don't really want to go with another plant. I'm getting kind of old. Let's see if we've got any decent. I know what I can do. I know what I can do. If I create a new sphere and I make it really tiny, we don't want it to be 15 centimeters. We want it to be like 1 centimeter across. Should be interesting. I'm going to move that tiny little thing into the shot. Where is camera 5? It's there, okay. I have to come up kind of there. Is it in shot? Yeah, no. God damn. I suppose it is a very narrow cone of vision. And that is way too high up. That's probably in view now. We click this over here. sweeping up. That's not meant to sweep up. That's not what Z and X do. Put a little bit of a glare on the window. In order to do that, I'm going to go with a crazy bright emissive. It's going to be like a million. And then I'm going to change the camera to have 6 blades. Let's see what that does. It could look absolutely terrible because that's going to really illuminate the room as well, I suspect. I need to move it outside the room. Oh no, it's not doing too much. In fact, it's barely noticeable. Alright, let's try. Going to add a few more zeros on there, shall we? Oh, yep, now it's light. I am using a 3080, RTX 3080. Stop thinking for a minute. Ooh. Tell you what, some of the major lessons that I learned didn't actually pick up from Dev Studio. And again, not claiming to be an expert by any stretch of the imagination. But most of my, well, I'm going to say I'm a photographer. I was a commercial photographer for a little while. Reasonably successful. We got by. But some of the lessons that I learned from being a photographer helped me get better at doing things like composition and stuff. Just tweaking little details until it fits right in your eye. And pull up some of my Facebook friendly work. There you go, one of my friends. Shot with her quite a bit in the past. Again, just playing around with composition, and my problem when I do shoots is I'm quite bossy. I tend to over direct. This one was a fun one. This was a Katy Perry lookalike that I did a shoot with. This was actually 2 photographs mashed together. Actually no, it's 3 photographs because I had to do these. This is actually just one piece of cloth, and I just took 3 separate photos of it, and a lot of post work involved in this one. But it was a fun shoot. Went out to a place in Kent. I had a load of lakes. It's good. Yeah, it's a good GPU. It's probably of the 330 series from Nvidia. I think the 3080 is the best value for money. I may be wrong. Other people may disagree. Yeah, if you skipped out the 20 generation, the speed improvement and the performance improvement is going to be very noticeable. Very noticeable indeed. Oh, this this was a fun shoot as well. I've actually got a couple of awards for this photograph. But this is just a guy, parkour, does a lot of free running. But he was doing this what we call a butterfly twist, and his glasses came off whilst he was twisting. And I just happened to catch it at the right moment. I honestly don't know. Is it getting louder again? Let's just... YouTube doing something weird? No, it's still dead quiet. Bizarre. Yeah. But... it just happens. This is just one of those shots that just kind of came together at the last minute. But we did quite a few photos in that shoot, actually, to be fair. He's a jumper. Got this one as well as him jumping over the top of me. Bizarre. Maybe the station is just getting louder. But I'd be lying if I said I hadn't been incredibly lucky to work with some really amazing models over the years, because without a good model, they say there's no such thing as a bad model, only a bad photographer, and that is true to a certain extent. It's a lot easier for a crap photographer to make a good model look bad than it is for a good model to make a crap photographer look good, if that makes any sense. But even so, there are limits, and Purple Porters, the website where you can find models and photographers and stuff, has really gone downhill properly. If you're wondering why my forehead's so shiny, it's because it is incredibly warm today in the UK. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but it is very hot. Yeah, it genuinely astounds me how companies manage to get away with putting such a ridiculous markup. Like the thing is with the RTX 3080, the whole selling point of it was that it was cheap. You know, it was cheaper than the 2080 was when it came out, and still, god damn, that's hot. If they're making you pay $2,000 or $2,500 for a GPU that's only supposed to cost $700, they're missing the whole point. They really are. That's crazy. I mean, Amazon were selling RTX 2080 Ti's for $1,500 after the 3080s came out. They were still, they just didn't drop the price. I haven't even looked recently, because since I got the 3080 in December, that was when it delivered. I ordered it in September. But I haven't really bothered looking since then, because I've had no interest in getting involved in that game again. But yeah, Scan were actually really good. I didn't get mine from Scan, I got mine from Overclockers, and Overclockers were shocking. So bad. Their idea of customer service, I've already said this on the last live stream, I think, but it merits saying again. Their idea of customer service was to go onto their own forums and just complain about the customers, constantly saying, oh, you guys are too mean to us, and deleting anybody who disagreed with them. That's ridiculous. 2,000. I mean, I know it's the TI model, but even so, that's ridiculous. Overclockers, yeah, basically. But Scan, one of my friends ordered his GPU from Scan, and he didn't go for... I went for the cheapest one I could get, but he ordered a mid-range one. And he got an email every single week telling him where he was in the queue, how many orders were coming in, when his order was likely to be delivered. And they just put in like a disclaimer at the bottom saying these are any predictions, there are subject to change and all that sort of thing. But the level of satisfaction between him and me was so different, it's so vast, because Scan actually value their customers, and Overclockers just acted as though they were entitled to everybody just throwing their money at them, and they seem to ignore the fact that they're taking 700 to 1,000 to 1,250 pounds off of people for a product that they didn't have on the shelves. And then they were confused as to why people were getting angry when they weren't updating them as to when they were going to be delivered. Like, well, the technology will move on. I mean, the 30 series are now a year old. Well, I know they were only released sort of 10 months ago, but they're a year old realistically. So, you know, it won't be long before there's a new series of GPUs out. Yeah, that's one thing I wish I'd done, is bought a GPU that had SLI, so that I could piggyback them, but I don't. So if I do want an SLI, I'm going to have to seriously get a lot of money out of Patreon. The thing is, people don't have that much money at the moment. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but in the UK, something like 17 million people were put on the furlough scheme, were basically sent home unpaid, 8% of their wages, because they couldn't work. And a lot of companies are taking advantage of that and using this to lay people off. So, you know, not only are people a bit broke now, but there's going to be a lot of people out of work and looking for work over the next 6 to 8 months, shall we say. So those people they're not going to have $2,400 to throw around on a GPU, which, let's be honest, in terms of game performance, I've not noticed a great deal. I've noticed my render times are dramatically better, yes. So for me it's great, but for someone who just plays Marvel Avengers or something like that, you're not going to see a dramatic improvement in performance realistically from a 1080 Ti, because most monitors are still 1080p, so you're not going to get any benefit from having the 2K or the 4K or whatever it is out of the 3080 or whatever. Realise my head is in the bottom of the screen. Sitting back is not working. There we go. Not to get Mr. Meeseeks on the top of my head, but there you go. Rick and Morty next season is getting dropped soon. That's quite interesting. Yeah, because that definitely works like that. Yeah, that's insane, isn't it, Sensi? It's ridiculous. 2 days. Could you imagine, though, like, my life doesn't revolve around my GPU. It makes a hell of a difference when I'm talking to you guys, because I can, you know, I've got NVIDIA IRA mode rendering away on the screen, and I'm able to talk to you and record and all that stuff at the same time, but can't honestly say that I would ever be that desperate that I would sleep outside a store for 2 days. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, for Dad Studio, CUDA cores is what it's all about. Processor power, RAM, and CUDA cores. I've got a decent processor, I've got a decent RAM, and I've got a reasonable amount of CUDA cores in my graphics card, so I'm happy. Like, to each their own. I know that there are some people who are like esports. I'd still use that term slightly ironically, but you know, there are competitive gamers, that's a better way of putting it. Competitive gamers who need every frame they can get, and they can't afford to have drops in frame rate when there's a lot going on the screen or whatever. But you don't see, let's be honest, if I've watched a few competitive gamers playing things like World of Warcraft and Fortnite and things like that. None of those games are particularly taxing on the GPU. I've been in, you know, World of Warcraft, I've been in raids with, you know, 40 people all blasting every nasty effect power they can with the graphics on Ultra, and it's not slowed down, and that wasn't with my 3080, that was when I had the 1070 Ti. Old school RuneScape. There's some pretty good games I'm enjoying playing at the moment. Can you hear the music at all now? Because it's not even registering. It's so quiet. It's not even registering on the audio thingy on OBS at the moment. See you later, Cameo. Have a good one, my friend. I'm just going to stop the music now. It's not really achieving anything. There you go. I've stopped it altogether now. I think you guys are playing a prank on me. One's looking all right. Let's go for this one. You can tell how experienced people are with Dash Studio because the focus shifts from one thing to another. Like when I was first starting with Dash Studio. Oh, thank you. I take that as a compliment. Whether you meant it as one or not is another matter, but I take it as a compliment. Any improvement is an improvement, isn't it, Nego? I would say. You know, from a 1070 to a 3060 is still a noticeable jump in performance, so I would imagine you're pretty happy with it. When I first started out with Dash Studio, literally there were only two things I was focused on. One of them was figuring out how to light my scenes, and the other one was how to speed up renders. HDRI lighting is an amazing thing. It really is. But as I got... The hardest lesson you have to learn with Dash Studio, and I know you guys all know this because you've all watched my videos and stuff, is patience. You're never going to get a perfect render in minutes from Dash Studio. Even if you've got a good GPU like this, to render this image out as a proper image would probably still take 25-30 minutes at the resolution that I would want to render it out at. So you have to, you know, once you get that out of your head that quick rendering is relative. Thanks, Philly. Nice to see you, my friend. And you can start focusing on the other parts, the things that actually make a good render. Absolutely, yeah. And practice means that you just speed up your workflow. I mean, the guys who've watched this from the beginning saw how quickly this thing kind of came together just by adding things here and there. But 2 hours is still not unheard. Like if I've got a lot going on in a scene, 2 hours is still is still an expectation. And if you're doing an animation, even if it's only a 15 frame animation, you're talking potentially hours. Speed should not be it shouldn't be high on your priority list, I don't think, if you want to get by with Dash Studio, because it just isn't. It's just not fast. But Iray is a really good render engine. And then you add another 10-15 minutes of post work onto the end of that as well. And you get these people who insist that you mustn't do post work and so on. Just whatever. Well, maybe. I still get CPU fallback every now and again. Still happens. Usually when I'm messing around, like if I was to try and do a full render now, I would probably CPU fallback because I've been darting backwards and forwards between different camera angles in Iray preview mode. So there's probably quite a lot of stuff, and Dash Studio is not very well optimized, so if I were to jump into a proper render now, it would probably CPU fallback. So I would have to save the scene and then load it back in. Yeah, I always think, see, I manually oversample. When I render this image for a 1920 by 1080p image, I would render this at 2880 in 16 by 9, and that just means that I'm 1.5 times oversampled, so that when I shrink it down, the noise is reduced. And it does make a big difference. And it means that I don't have to wait for them to fully converge. But what I can do is I can pop all of the extra stuff into a group. And I'll call it extra stuff. Extra stuff, and then that just means that I know what to delete if I accidentally save over the top of it. Everyone's got their different priorities, Shiriko. Mine is you know, well, you probably already know by now, I put image quality fairly high up in my, you know, that's why I spend so much time doing post work and all that sort of thing, because I just want my images to be not photorealistic per se, but just I want them to be as good as they can be. But different people have different priorities, you know. Some people, like say yourself, you might be more narrative oriented. You might be more interested in just, you might have deadlines to meet, which a lot of people do for their Patreon channel, which is why I don't do that anymore, because it was causing me to, when I first released my first game, it was crap. The coding was sloppy, it didn't work half the time, and the renders were shoddy. But because I'd already put myself into a situation where Patreon was the business model I was running with, I had to meet deadlines. I had to get a new version out every 30 days. So I didn't have time to improve anything. The code just remained sloppy. The renders just remained mediocre. But luckily, the storyline was fairly... it seemed to click with a lot of people. So a lot of people now... I still get emails all the time now from people asking me when the game's going to be finished, because they want to play it again or whatever. But once I actually was binned off of Patreon, I was in a situation where I had time to think about what I actually wanted to prioritize. And so I took the time to learn RenPy properly. And the funny thing is that with RenPy, it actually took me quite a while to realize that RenPy was just a Python library, just a module for Python. Once I realized that I could code in Python and make Python do all the nuts and bolts and only use RenPy for the GUI, everything fell into place, and I started realizing what you could actually do, what you could accomplish with some really basic code. And if you follow the Let's Code Season 3 that we're working through at the moment, you'll realize like it's a really, really basic bit of code, but using RenPy to display the images and display the text, it's, you know, it's really helpful. And then obviously learning Dash Studio is just practice. I just been using it now for 3 or 4 years, so. And that's the thing, because you're struggling to push out more than 3 renders a day, that's a hell of a lot of work. And more a lot of sitting around waiting. And if you've got no more coding to do in that time, what you're going to do is you just have to go out and or go to work or whatever, you know. More play AVNs, yeah. What I was doing to start with, I was just watching them to get inspiration and all that, but I don't even bother with them anymore. to be honest, I just haven't got the time. It's not because I don't want to. I'm just too busy. If I'm not recording YouTube videos, I'm at work or I'm at the gym. Not complaining by any stretch of the imagination. I'm actually glad I've stopped doing the daily gaming videos though. I still play the games. It's just I found myself playing the games but constantly thinking about playing in 20-minute intervals, and when you start doing something for other people, which is what I was doing, I was playing games in 20-minute chunks and recording for other people. It just sort of takes the joy out of it a little bit. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, especially after the last 18 months with everybody being cooped up. I wasn't, because I've been a key worker through the whole thing, so I've been able to go out and interact with other human beings and stuff. But if I don't go out of a daytime, by the evening I've got ants in my pants. I want to go out, I just go for a walk for the sake of going for the walk, because I need to get out. Yeah, iteration number is a bit of a, depends on the scene. Hey Coca, it depends on the scene. 6,000 iterations might be okay, and to be fair, that's quite a high number of iterations, so the majority of the time you're going to find that that'll probably be okay. But I would just say when the image is done, it's done. Hey Martin, how you doing, my friend? Oh, thank you very much. This old thing. But yeah, again, it's not. I'm certainly not. Don't take that as me criticizing. They go, like I say, 6,000 iterations is a good number in terms of like the majority of your renders are going to come out really solid. But there's always going to be that one or two renders where it's just not enough. Usually, the lower lit scenes where it's a bit darker or there's just not as much going on in the terms of lighting, and there's a lot of detail in the scene. Maybe you've got a lot of geometry from many characters or something, then that's going to be like, that's going to push you out a few thousand iterations easily. But yeah, we've probably done the right thing by ordering a pre-made. If you because you've ordered a pre-made, the people who build it for you will they'll probably make sure that the air circulation through the tower case and everything is going to be okay. Like if you're like me, I mean, just update myself. Very important to make sure that you put your GPU in the middle of the biggest empty space in your case, and make sure there's lots of airflow across it, because the onboard cooling is only as good as the air that's around it. So if you haven't got cold air going through your tower case, it's going to overheat very quickly. Yeah, you could do that, Nego. It would certainly work. You know, there's a lot you can do in post, which is fine. Again, render speed, if you're looking for fast renders, DAZ Studio there's no such thing as a quick render with DAZ. As you said, there are ways around it. You can increase the contrast and drop the light, and then that will give you a darker render. Or you can, the thing is, as long as the light is there for DAZ Studio to work with, it'll push out the render. So if you were to change your exposure settings, so you've got lots of light in the scene, but your camera shutter settings or whatever are higher, then your render times are going to be okay, better. Not perfect, but better. Yeah, it's cheaper to go with pre-built these days. probably not the place to ask that one because it's YouTube, and yeah, we don't do that on YouTube. But once I open up the forums on Thundawn.com, that would probably be a better place to ask that sort of question. Thing is, with the GPUs in such short supply now, I was going to say, if you can buy whatever you can, if that's the only way you can get it. One of my friends bought a pre-built because it was the only way to get a GPU at a reasonable price and time. He jumped the queue massively. He ordered his pre-built the day that the 3080 came out, but he jumped the queue massively. I had to wait 3 months for my GPU, and I ordered the same day. But there was just such a massive... There were only really 2 websites in the UK that were selling them, Scan and Overclockers. But yeah, you can massively jump the queue if you order a pre-built at the moment. There seems to be... They say that it's because they come from a different stockpile or something. I don't know if that's true or not, if that's just waffle. It could be either. Ah, right, okay. Yeah, I had to do the same thing about 2 years ago. Update the motherboard. I don't know what the shipping's like to get back from Japan, though. I've ordered some things from China recently, and they got stuck in customs for weeks. Mind you, that might have just been poor timing, to be fair, because customs in the UK has been pretty bad for a while, but it's supposed to be getting better again soon. We'll see. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. Crikey, it's almost at the 2-hour mark again, guys. I'll give it another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to knock it on the head so that I can put my feet up and try and cool down. Turn the AC on. Well, AC, I call it AC, it's a fan. Another thing about the UK, for those of you who don't live here, is AC is not really a thing here. We're aware of it, but we don't have it. Even in hotels, like you go to, we have this hotel chain called Premier Inn, which are like massive hotel chain all around the UK. There's like, some towns have 2 of them. They have AC in their rooms, but it's kind of like someone going into the room. Don't say that word around Elon. Elon's a bit afraid of AI, isn't he? I agree. I think I'm looking forward to AR becoming a big thing. I hope I'm still alive when it happens, because I think that's going to be amazing. I know that it exists now, but when it's actually a viable option and you don't have to wear a pair of glasses, I make you look like a dick. Yeah, that's not good. Give myself a headache if I do that. I don't reckon it's going to be too long before we start getting this, get like implants, not proper like cybernetics, but like they already invented a watch or a clock that's wafer thin using, I don't know if it was graphene or if it's something else, but they could, theoretically you could have that surgically implanted under your skin and you'd always know what the time was. So I don't think it's too far of a stretch to imagine that there's going to be sort of like AR contact lenses or like even like under the skin pigmentation implants where you can actually have changing tattoos and stuff, like moving tattoos, like Rorschach from that film, what's name I've forgotten, the visual novel, the graphic novel, its name I've forgotten. Watchmen. I know that wasn't a face tattoo, that was a bag he had over his head, but you know, could you imagine being able to have like that going on? That'd be cool. Yeah, definitely do. Be interesting to see like what the shipping time is like and if it's legit and all that sort of thing. I mean, you'd think getting it from Asia would be legit, but danger of saying something that could be construed as marginally racist if I'm not careful here, but you just don't know, do you? But yeah, let us know how it goes, man. Definitely. All right, guys, it's approaching that time, so I am going to say good night to everybody. Thanks ever so much for watching. Thanks for everybody who subscribed during the stream as well. That's epic. Genuinely appreciate you watching and all of the input as well. You guys are all legends. I'll see you again in the next one, which will probably be in a couple of days. See you soon, guys. Cheers.